Full credit to Squampopolus. He is the one who came up with the fighter spectrum, not me. But I just wanted to add my 2 cents into it because I found it very helpful in my writing. Now, the general gist is that fights in fiction can be categorized into different categories when we look at the strength of the winner and the strength of the loser. Here you can see the fighter spectrum is split into 4 parts. Strong winner and weak losers at the top left, and it's called a fly swatting. In the middle are toss-ups, where the winner and loser are about equal strength. And at the bottom right, we have a David v Goliath, a fight with a weak loser and a strong winner. At the highest hype, fights are at the top right, with a strong winner and a strong loser, a World Cup. However, I feel there is room here for a fifth category. But first, let's go into why I love each of these categories. The winner is a lot stronger than the loser. That's a fly swatting, because when you swat a fly, they're out, they're done. There's no question. You kill them, it's over. Think John Wick. John Wick is not waiting around to look at these dudes. Think Gojo when he's fighting against a random cursed spirit in Jujutsu Kaisen. Think All Might when he takes out those bum heroes in the first season of My Hero Academia. It's over. When they get there, it's done. It's a fly swatting. It's quick. It's over. It's done. But the only reason those are entertaining is when it shows the characterization of the the one doing the swatting. Gojo is cocky. Gojo knows he's the shit. He takes his time. He laughs. He enjoys himself while he beats the shit out of these cursed spirits. All Might is heroic. All Might comes in there and does a tidal wave with one punch. He inspires hope to the heroes that were struggling against the people that he only needed but a moment to take out. It goes on like this, right? So there's also a David versus Goliath, the famous biblical story. David is a farmer's boy. He's a child. Goliath, born and bred, even like I read some Bible text. Homie was maybe had angel's blood or some shit. Had David, what hope did he have? He employed strategy. He used a slingshot. That slingshot headshot against Goliath, it's over, right? When the character cannot win because he is weaker than the opposing character, but he wins anyway, that's a David versus Goliath. And usually it's won through strategy, and that's what makes those fun. Squampopolus goes on to talk about toss-ups and a World Cup, which are great categories in their own right, but I think he missed one. And these are my favorite fights in fiction. These are the ones that I love. The Final Stand. The Final Stand is sort of a reverse fly swatting in a way. The Final Stand is when the winner is clearly stronger than the loser, but the loser doesn't give a shit. The loser fights anyway. At first, when I watched the video, I thought that Rock Lee versus Gara was a David versus Goliath. But I rewatched it recently. And that's Rock Lee versus Gara is not a David versus Goliath. Rock Lee versus Gara is a final stand. Rock Lee has no chakra. Rock Lee has had to train in only taijutsu, only his hands, for his entire training, his ninja career. He's fighting the strongest person from the stand, cursed with a jinchuriki, a demon inside of him, right? He knows he can't win. It looks a little dicey there for a minute. Rock Lee is giving him the hands. Rock Lee is beating his ass. But the thing is, Rock Lee does not stop fighting. He does not stop fighting even when his legs are broken, even when he's clearly out. He doesn't stop fighting. That is a final stand. My favorite final stand, and personally, the one who made me fall in love with them probably was Akira Toriyama, RIP to the GOAT. Akira Toriyama was the GOAT of writing final stands. This man, he couldn't stop writing them. And Bardock versus Frieza and his entire army was a final stand. Bardock wasn't going to win that fight. Bardock went in there, guns blazing, ready to die because he knew what was going to happen. He knew Frieza was going to blow up his planet. Bardock is not some hero, all right? Bardock was ready to just go for it and fight to the death. He knew he was going to die. My personal favorite one that Akira Toriyama wrote, though, and one of my favorite fights, which inspired me to talk about the final stand as a category, is Gohan versus the androids. Future Gohan fights androids 17 and 18 alone. He loses an arm protecting Trunks, and he fights them one armed, alone, and he has every inclination that he's going to die. He's going to lose. But he fights anyway. And he knows that he's going to die. And he gives this powerful speech about how they can't kill him. They can't kill what he is because he's hope. And he knows that Trunks lives on. And that's what makes the final stand so powerful, right? It's the characterization of the person fighting that final stand. It's Moomin Rider versus that fish man in One Punch Man. It's hold on. Bardock versus Frieza and the entire Frieza force. It's the moment where a lot of people fall in love with a character and they die. They're killed off, but they go out like a badass. They go out fighting for something, for what they believe in, what they stand for. And a big one that's been popping off lately is a Rex versus Mark in Invincible. That is the definition of a final stand. And I see all these edits and I see that my favorite kinds of fights, a lot of people love these fights, but we need to understand why we love them so we can write them into more stories. It's Rex knows he can't beat Mark. Mark is a Viltrumite. Rex knows, he's seen it. He knows he's outmatched completely. But he's gone through this transformation. He's gone through this growth, right? Where he's learned to appreciate people around him, learned to be better. And it finally culminates in this moment where he sacrifices himself to protect the people around him, to protect others. And then the selfish asshole, when we meet him, becomes the most selfless warrior prince that people make edits of. That's what a final stand does to a character. And I do believe that they exhibit characterization in the best of ways for your character. So if you're writing a fight and you know that your character is going to lose, I would say a final stand is a beautiful way to give them a send off. And obviously, only if it works for the character. But again, these examples of final stands are some of my favorites. If you guys can think of any, go ahead and let me know in the comments. But yeah, I truly love when a character truly just gives it his all, gives it their all, knowing that they're going to die, knowing that they're going to lose because they're up against someone that's more powerful, just they're outmatched, but they don't care. They go for it anyway. And that is one of my favorite fighting one of my favorite fight categories. And I didn't see it in Squampopolus' video. He missed one. It's very much like a fly swatting, but what's fun about a fly swatting is they're gone. But a final stand, they linger, they keep going, they give it their all. Just like Rexplode, just like Gohan versus the androids, he gave him a fight. He gave him a final one-handed Kamehameha before he went out. So that's why I think it's sort of a reverse fly swatting. They have the same dynamic, but a final stand is where we're rooting for the fly in a way, which is a messed up way to put it. But anyway, let me know what you guys think.